Hello, I'm DeDe. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll do an entire yoga practice on our feet. Standing poses help strengthen our legs and hips, as well as provide us with something extremely important, balance. Doesn't that sound fantastic? We can train balance, we can strengthen our hips and legs. Here's what you'll need: a yoga mat and some water for hydration. You may want to be near a wall, a countertop, or a sturdy chair if you think you may need some light support. Feel free to take off your shoes and socks. Make sure you have plenty of room. And remember to always move at your own mindful pace. If you're on a carpet, you may not need a yoga mat. You just want to make sure that you feel supported and like you're not going to slip. Your feet need to be secure. A yoga mat can usually help with that. Join me now. We're going to stand in mountain pose. So take your feet under your hip joints and slightly soften your knees. Bring your pelvis so it's level all the way around. Your front ribs are pulled in slightly. Your shoulders are back and down. Your ears are back over your shoulders. Now let's take our hands and rest them on our abdomen. Stand up as tall as you can, lifting up through the crown of your head. And then close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Otherwise, leave them open. And we're going to breathe down toward our hands at the beginning of our inhale. And fill upward all the way up to your throat. And then exhale completely in any order. So while you're here, try to balance the weight as equally as you can across both of your feet. Balance the weight as evenly as you can from your toes to your heels. And think about not collapsing into one side of your body or the other. And think about not leaning your shoulders or your hips or your head. Keep everything in one straight column. And then we'll take our hands up onto our rib cage. Same side hand on same side rib cage. Relax your shoulders. And then we'll breathe, still starting the inhale down low by our abdomen, but then expand your ribs into your hands. Fill all the way up. And then empty the air all the way out. Notice what's happening as you're here. Do you have excessive tension in your shoulders? Try to let that go. Do you have tension in your feet and your toes? Are your toes gripping? Try to let that go. And anything else that you can notice that's unnecessary right now. No unnecessary tension needed. Just let it all go. Now, if your eyes are closed, you can let them open and bring the arms down to the sides. So now we'll circle around through our right ankle and then our left ankle. If there's any pops or cracks that want to happen, I have some, maybe you have some too. This is a good time to let them all happen. Now you can turn your body a little bit in the direction of the circle. That feels good. It's a toe stretch, it's ankle limbering, it's calf limbering. One more time with the ankle circle. And now we'll go to single foot tiptoe. So just bend across your toe joints and then down, and bend across your toe joints and down. So you see that there's a shifting of the weight, and so the body shifts accordingly. Now we're going to start to shift less and hold a little more still in the middle. So that requires a little bit more balance. Definitely requires more awareness. It requires a little bit more lateral stability. Now let's try going just a little bit up on our tiptoes, both feet at the same time, up and down. How does that feel? Do you need the light support, or can you keep going here? So if you can keep going, you're comfortable, you're steady, then you can start to add some arms. One arm goes forward while the other one goes back. And then switch. So by adding these movements from front to back with our arms, we're playing with our balance a little bit. And of course, by coming up on our tiptoes, we're definitely challenging our balance a little bit, right? Or a lot. How about a little higher with your arms? Feel free to bend your elbows if you need to. But if you don't need to, then the elbows are straighter. Now, if you're on a yoga mat and you're on carpet, that makes balancing even more challenging. So at any time that you need to, feel free to step off of your yoga mat when we're balancing. Last one. And then come down. Now roll your right shoulder around and back and down, and your left shoulder. Moving with our breath. That's one of the hallmarks of a flowing practice of yoga, is moving with the breath. When we're doing other types of exercise, we're just kind of breathing as needed. But with yoga, we like to bring together the motion and the breath, and then hopefully the concentration and the mindfulness. They all dovetail in together. Now let's start to lead this shoulder roll with our elbows. So now it becomes an elbow circle. So the shoulder stays down. Let's start to turn the body a little bit. Inhale and exhale as you come around. Now, if it doesn't overly challenge your balance, keep your eyes on your fingertips. Straighten your elbows a little bit more. So eyes on your fingertips. Inhale. As you exhale, around and down. One more like this. All right, and then we sweep both arms up. Inhale, hands come together, sit back into your heels as you exhale. Let's do it again. So your back remains straight. It's straight here, and it is also straight here, including your neck. As your knees bend, they stay the same distance apart as your ankles. Now we'll change the arms. So inhale, arms go back. Exhale, Arms go forward, but shoulders stay down. And we'll do that again. Can you feel the work happening in your legs, your back, your shoulders? I sure can. Now we're going to go diagonal with the arms. So the right arm goes up, the left arm goes down. So diagonal. And then sit back. Your shoulders are still down away from your ears. How are your legs doing? If your legs are getting too tired, you don't have to keep sitting down into that chair pose position. You can stay standing up like this. But otherwise, if you're still good, sitting every time. Let's do a couple more. You can look up towards your top hand. Now let's take our hands on our legs and we'll stay here. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see it better. Inhale, lift your tailbone just a little bit. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under just a little bit. So feel what's happening in your low back as you do this. Leaning weight on your legs. Your arms, your hands are supporting your torso. And your neck is not disappearing into your shoulders. And then your tailbone is not tucked under or lifted, it's just neutral. You'll stand back up and shoulders are back and down. And we're going to shift the weight onto the left foot and we'll come up on our right toes. Keep breathing. And then switch. So keep your eyes on a focal point. You don't have to look at me the whole time. Probably better if you don't, because I'm moving. And then we'll switch. Now see if you can bring your toes onto the floor and then lift them 1 inch off the floor. See how that works for you. And then we'll switch. Up on your toes, maybe stay there or lift 1 inch or so. And then we'll switch. Now this time if you can lift higher, go ahead and do that. Holding on to your shin, pulling your leg in, and then releasing. Let's do the other side. Toes, or 1 inch off the floor, or holding on to your shin. You can flex your foot on your lifted leg, and then we'll come down. Let's go again. Up. This is knee to chest, or as close as you can manage to get. Make sure you use your arms to pull your leg up higher. If you try to use your hip flexor muscles, they may cramp. So use your arms to go higher. Just continuously doing that deep breathing. Now this time we go into one of those versions of this position and we hold. So remember, your toes can still be on the floor. And then release and switch. Flexing your foot if your foot is lifted. And then release. Now take your hands to your hips. Shoulders are down. Make sure you have a little bit of room around you. Now we'll lean to the left and we'll slide our right toes out. And then we'll come back in. Breathing. Lean to the right, slide your left toes out. And then we'll come in. So this is the same principle as the knee up, leaving your toes on the floor. Lightly on the floor. And then if you want to add some arms, it's here. And just like last time, we'll lift the toes an inch or so off the floor, if that's right for you. And then we'll switch. And if your toes are not resting on the floor, you can flex your foot. So in order to begin this move, you lean your torso away from your lifting leg. So that gives you a little bit of a counterbalance. So your leg will come up with more ease. If you don't feel comfortable with your leg coming up, that's okay too. Just lean away anyway and make your foot lighter, but keep it on the floor. So I can feel my standing leg working hard. My core is working hard. And the hip, the outer hip, especially when my leg is lifted on that lifted side, I can really feel that working. What about you? All right, let's come back to the center. Cross your right leg across your left shin. Square your hips to the front. Keep your front knee bent, but your back leg is straight. And then push your hips out to the left and take your left arm up and over. Stay here. And then we'll come up and we'll reverse that. So step out, take your left leg across in front of your right shin, push your hips out to the right, make sure you support here, and then your top arm goes over. You can look up, you can look out, you can look down. Find what works for you, for your balance, for your neck. And then let's come back up. Now we step our feet apart, much wider than we've had them. So wider than your shoulders. See how far apart you can get your feet and still remain balanced. Remember, you may need your sturdy chair, or you may need to be near a wall or a counter. Your toes are turned out, your knees are pressing open. Now let's inhale, the arms sweep up. Exhale, hands on your legs, push your hips out behind you. Hinge forward a little bit. Let's do it again. Legs are straighter. Looking up if it doesn't throw you off balance. Sitting back. So celebrate where your body can move, how pain-free you can be in your movement. So try to stay out of those painful ranges of motion. Celebrate what you feel good doing. Make the outer edges of your feet a little bit heavier. That will help guide your knees into the right position. The outer edges of your feet are heavier. All right, now we're going to work a little harder than we have perhaps so far. Stay down, push your knees out, make the outer edges of your feet heavier. And then inhale, free up this left arm. Exhale over, back to center. Keep pushing the knees out. Exhale over this way. Go with your breathing. Can you feel the work happening in your legs? Boy, I sure can. And then let's come back to center, rise up. Now we're turning both sets of toes this way. Make sure you're far enough apart from front to back. Keep your balance. Come up on the tiptoes of your back foot now, hands on your hips. And then we'll bend both knees and we'll sink down. And then inhale, up. Exhale, bend both knees and sink down. Now you can add some arms, sweeping up and over your head, elbows bent, and then coming back down to your sides. Moving with your deep breathing. Now let's turn, carefully maneuvering around the other way. Make sure your feet are still on a railroad track. They're not on a tightrope. All right, you're on the tiptoes of your back foot. Inhale, and then exhale, drop down. And this time, arms go forward and up. You can bend your elbows if you need to. And forward and down. Torso is not going forward and down, just the arms. And arms can be straighter if that feels good for you. Straight up and straight down, bending your back knee more if you don't feel like you're going straight down. All right, coming back to center. Steady, taking your time, staying on your railroad track, turning. Now we're moving into that high lunge and we're holding. So you can have your hands on your hips. You can have your arms out like a goalpost. You can have your arms bent and up. You can have your arms straight and up. And you can even start to add a little bit more back bend if that feels suitable for you. Now, if you need something even easier, you can bring your back knee all the way down. You can put some extra padding under there if you need it. But in keeping with the theme for this session, we're going to try to stay on our feet if we can. All right, and then we come up and we carefully switch sides. Get yourself lined up, sinking down. And then finding your arm position. I'm going to do goalpost this time. And you can still consider finding more back bend or not if it doesn't feel right for you. Shoulders down, chest open, wherever your arms are. All right, and then we're rising up, bringing the arms down, turning around to the front, and bringing the legs in closer. Back to mountain pose we go. Now just notice as you're standing, are you tilted? Are you rotated? Are you pressing out? Are you overly extended or are you rounded? See if you can notice those deviations from neutral and then bring yourself into neutral. It helps if you have a mirror to look at so you can check your form. But in the absence of a mirror, just try and feel that your feet are equally weighted and that your shoulders are equally relaxed. That your pelvis is neutral all the way around. right, now would you like to get a drink of water? Now's a great time to do that. If you are going to get a drink of water, step your feet out, bend your knees, support with your hand on your leg as you bend and reach for it. Same with when you set it down, always support. All right, now we're coming to this stance with feet right underneath hips. And then we inhale, bend your knees a little bit, exhale, hinge forward, hands on your legs. And then we'll do that again. I'll show you from the side. Your hips go back and your back stays long. Inhale to come up. Shoulders are not too far forward. Now let's stay here in our forward folded position. You may want to turn to the side so you can easily see me by turning your head. Now, if you feel comfortable with this, come up on one set of tiptoes. Keep your back straight. Keep supporting with your hands on your legs. Now that heel comes down, bring the other heel up. All right, both heels are down. Now, if you want to try something more challenging, both heels are up. They don't have to be up very high. And then if you're okay there, you can try one arm back with your palm facing inward, maybe both arms back with your palms facing inward. Your elbows can be bent. Still breathing. All right, hands back down on the legs, heels are down. Hinge up slowly. All right, returning to our mountain pose. Take your right hand to your hip, inhale. Exhale, push your hips out to the left, and your left arm goes over. Stay here. So we want to shift our center of gravity over to the side a bit, keeping the knees soft but straightened. All right, and then we come up, then we switch sides. So inhale, relax your shoulders. Exhale, over, shift your center of gravity over to the side, and we'll stay here. And then we inhale back up, and on the exhale, release the arms. Now, do you feel comfortable lacing your fingers behind your back like this? If so, you can do that. If not, just put your hands on your hips like this. Whether we're interlacing or hands are on the hips, we have to draw the elbows back now and really open up through the chest. Can you feel that opening through your chest? Looks like this or this. You decide what works better for you. Oh, such a great stretch. Breathe into your chest so you can accelerate the stretch. All right, now we step the feet about shoulder width distance apart. I'm turning sideways so you can see it better. Bend your back knee a little bit. Sink into your back leg until you feel a stretch deep in your calf. Keep your balance here. And then we'll straighten out our back leg and we'll bend our front knee again until we feel a stretch in our calf. This stretch is a little more superficial toward the outside of our calf. Let's do the other side. Turn. Once again, our feet are on a railroad track. Bend your back knee until you feel that stretch. And then straighten your back leg and bend your front knee until you feel the stretch. Make sure your knee isn't going beyond your toes. on the front leg. And then we'll come back to center and bring the hands together in front of the heart. Take a deep breath in and let it out. So how do you feel now? By doing 30 minutes of yoga on our feet, we were able to increase our muscular strength, endurance, and of course, our balance. So as usual, thanks for joining me, and until next time, be well.